How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella. We have another black metal review to do today, and that is a debut album by the band Darkest called Crystal Black Magick. Now, if you have been paying attention the last week or so, I did put up the full stream of this album with kind regards and full permissions by E or 8 on Metal Archives. I don't remember ever seeing his name as 8 on anything, but we always talk to each other and he calls himself E to me. So yeah, he does all the instruments and vocals for this project and this album. He started roughly in 2007 with a release called Bla Comat Lis in 2007. That's the best quality I could find for the album art on this. And then after that, there was a more than 10-year period wait, and then they finally released the Dissension EP in 2021. I did a review on that, so if you're interested, go check it out in my reviews playlist. And then they also followed that up the next year with another demo called From the Darkest Grave in 2022. I also believe I did a review for that one, so again, if you're interested, check the reviews list that I have on my channel here. The project Darkest comes from North Carolina, USA, so it's some US black metal, hence why I put USBM black metal in the name for the album stream on the channel here. Just a little bit easier to find, and some Google spiders can check it out for you. So, anywho, let's get on to how this album sounds, starting with the vocals. They are mid to high level in the mix for the most part, generally around the mid volume-wise for the tracks. There's an exception here and there. I think one or two songs might have them slightly lower, especially Around Your Neck and Mine, I believe, is slightly lower in volume. But we'll talk about that later. The stylings of vocals you can find on here are some gritty, scratchy, throaty, demonic growls. There's even some reverbed, maniacal howling you can find in the song RTW. And there's some haunting, seemingly Indian or Egyptian clean sounding vocals on the track Extinction Bells. So that's pretty cool. The performance of the vocals are pretty consistent overall. No dips in quality. I don't hear any struggling or stringing either. So overall, really good vocal performance by E. Now let's talk about the guitars. They were also mid to high in the mix, on level or above the vocals at times, depending on the song. Great performance overall, good EQ, a variety in pace and riff, which was really, really nice. The stylings of guitar riffs you can find in this are some tremolos, some dissonant riffs, some ripping power chords. There's some chugs as well, i.e. RTW. The chugs and Metallica riffs are present in there. It also has some eerie solos, which are present in Extinction Bells, some haunting plucked chords, and you can also find some fairly grim and menacing melodic compositions in this as well. As for the bass guitar, it was low in the mix, just under the guitar and vocals, but I could still make it out here and there. It was fairly present at the end of the track, Crystal Black Magick, so that definitely helped me narrow it down and figure out what exactly the bass was sounding like. So it was seemingly well performed throughout, had a slight gain or distortion to it, and just added a subtle background low end boost or buzz to the album. Alright, and lastly, let's talk about the drums. They were mid to high in the mix, just slightly above the guitar and vocals. Also a great performance. They might have been programmed, but I feel like they were live drums. So yeah, if they were programmed drums, they are the best programmed drums I've fucking ever heard. So yeah, really happy with the performance of the drums. They had a solid kick drum sound. They had a very full and punchy drive to them. It had a very snappy, crisp snare tone, and lastly it had some good fills and tom work, some good double kicks, some good transitions and timing. The drumming in this album was certainly enjoyable. Alright, let's move on to my favorite tracks of this album. Tracks 2, 4, 8, and 10 are what you'd expect and are pretty typical black metal songs in structure, that of like early Mayhem, Dark Throne, Immortal, etc. So not much to say about those, just besides being generally good, but the ones that really stuck out in my mind was at the forefront, number 7, Extinction Bells. Starts with a haunting, plucked style melody, then hits you with this crunchy, foreboding riff and bells being rung. It was extremely moody and had this dark atmosphere and intense vocals throughout, including some creepy, again, just Indian, Egyptian sounding cleans. And then at the last minute or so, it gets extremely amped up and even more intense than before. So it goes on quite the high note. This was a standout track in my opinion from this album. Same with RTW, which is track number 6. It starts off with this very, very reminiscent sounding and Justice for All style kind of chuggy riff. And then after that, it churns out this grinding bone masher of a guitar riff, repeats those a couple of times back and forth, and then bursts into this ravenous ripper of a thrash lick and has the vocals as menacing as ever. Then moving on to track number 11, Haunting the Shores of Styx. 2 words for this track, magnum opus. It's an excellently crafted black metal journey of a song, haunting in slow movements to ripping Metallica-like bangers, filled in between with the more expected frosty, bone-chilling, atmospheric black metal staple type riffs. This song clocks in at 11 minutes or so and doesn't leave you wondering when the end is coming because it has so many hills and valleys in it, so much building and tension and release and grooviness. By the time it's over, you didn't realize that 11 minutes have passed. So yeah, tracks 7, 6, and 11 are definitely the ones to look out for standouts in this album. But again, tracks 2, 4, 8, and 10 are some pretty meat and potatoes, standard black metal. If you're not looking for anything too eccentric or experimental, maybe focus on those. But you definitely need to give 7, 6, and 11 the attention I feel they deserve. Alright, let's move on to my overall thoughts about this album. Crystal Black Magick's addition of solos, pace changes, riff variety, and experimentation with thrashy, groovy elements really elevated this release above quite a lot of its peers in the one-man independent black metal field. Darkest kind of goes above and beyond expectations in this incredible debut release from an almost totally unknown obscure project, which is sure to change after people discover this grand effort and talent. And finishing off this review as I usually do, let's go over a couple of weaknesses or improvements that I could pick out from this album. The vocals in Around Your Neck Then Mine were too low in the mix, frankly, and almost made it feel like a 4th instrumental track if you include number 1, 5, and 9, which would have been far too much album filler, as this album already clocks in at over an hour long, and the bass could have definitely had a couple of times more to shine. It was slightly low in the mix, and since E put in the effort to actually go and record bass for every track on this album, I feel like it definitely could have been higher volume in the mix and maybe had a moment or two more to come out and say, hey, I'm the bass. So with everything being said and done, I definitely feel this album deserves a solid 9 out of 10. It was a really unexpected, excellent release by Darkest. I haven't talked to this guy in a long while, probably since the last release of his that I did a review for. So he has been busy as fuck, to say the least, and it has definitely paid off. This album is everything that you could have hoped for from this project, and probably a little more. I definitely enjoyed the more groovy, thrashier elements that was thrown in, and I definitely enjoyed the more melodic, kind of haunting stuff. The bells and Extinction Bells was really good. I'm a kind of person that likes on-the-nose type of marketing, so having actual bells in your song called Extinction Bells was perfect for me. Yeah, I'm Jesse Morgan, and I did buy this album, and you can too on Bandcamp. Make sure to go check out the description box below so you can go and support this awesome one-man black metal band out of North Carolina, USA. If you're watching, kudos, my friend. Amazing release. I did not expect anything close to this. Not in an insulting way. I was just blown away by all the talent and riffs and pace changes and extra tasty thrashiness thrown in there. I feel like I might have even heard some slight Dracure influences maybe, or maybe I'm just overthinking it. And yeah, if you decide to put out a physical release for this, I am certainly going to be considering picking one up, as should all of you watching, because this needs to be a staple in your US black metal collection. Good job, Darkest. Can't wait to see what else you come out with in the future. Maybe a split with Dracure. Who knows? I wouldn't mind getting back at it myself, but we'll see if time allows for it, considering all the things in my life. New baby, martial arts, etc. So, yep, that's it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, for glory, for the rebellion, Slammerella out. Go check out Darkest's Crystal Black Magick album on Bandcamp and on YouTube, or even on this channel. Thanks again, E, for letting me put it up here. Cheers.